All right, so welcome to the Dumbest in the Room podcast. I'm Steven Crocker. I'm here with Jason Hawks, the owner of Cardinal Skate Shop. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
So today I want to talk to you about what it's like to be a small business owner, especially during the pandemic, but just in general. So give me a little bit about your background and how you ended up with Cardinal.
Well, I mean, I've been skating since I was, I believe, 6 years old. I got my first board back in 1979 or 78, something like that. 78. So, and my aunt got it for my birthday. The neighbor kids had a few skateboards, and we were just sitting on our butts going down the driveway. But, it was always something I had played with and messed with and was curious about, seen videos. And, it's not something that was like prominent in anybody's life at that point. I mean, I guess possibly if you lived in California or maybe here in Virginia Beach in the 70s. I don't know. I wasn't here in Virginia Beach in the 70s. But it wasn't until like later in the 80s when I was about 13 when I got turned on to like bigger skateboards and what was really happening in skateboarding. And that's when it all changed for me as far as that goes. So that's what it's been in my life since then.
So before Cardinal, what kind of work were you doing? I read that you did, you were like a cabinet maker, and
I've done like more jobs than probably anybody I know. I mean, I'm sure people have done more jobs than me, but you work odd jobs. You work at gas stations, video stores, you work at gardening centers. You just, as a young person, you're probably not content. So you're just like, this job sucks. You don't do a good job, you get fired. But generally I never got fired. I always like either quit on the spot or gave my 2 weeks. Cause it was one of those things where it's just like, I am not happy here. Why am I coming here? If I don't quit right now, I'm going to come in tomorrow. Or, you get in an argument with like, the cook and you're a dishwasher. You're just like, wash the dishes yourself, and so you're just out of there. So, it's not like your parents are, well, back then parents weren't buying everything for everybody. So, if you wanted to buy a skateboard, I think I was telling you earlier that, we would get a skateboard for Christmas and your birthday if you're lucky. And it sucked if your birthday was right around Christmas, but luckily mine was about 5 months later. So, in between that time, you had to like muster up some money. So I started working when I was 14. I think I pushed this, what they called a billy goat. It was like a gas station vacuum cleaner. It was a gas drain, sounded like a motor cart, but sucked up cans and everything else around the parking lot. So that was like one of my first jobs, and weed whacking the grass around there. But that was at 14, bagging ice.
Wow.
And then just kept going,
What would you say is the most interesting job that you've had?
Running the shop. It's love and hate. It's nuts. I mean, this is the longest job I've ever had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how you acquired Cardinal.
It was up for sale, and owning a skate shop. So opening a skate shop was something I wanted to do for a long time. When I wanted to do it after I was a cabinet maker, actually, I'd moved back to the Buffalo area, and that was my plan to open a skate shop because there was really nothing going on. But this is around 2000, I think, and for whatever reason, skateboarding was a lot less known, but it wasn't like owning a restaurant. So you could find statistics on opening a restaurant or some sort of like normal business, and then you go to build your business plan around that, go to the bank, get a loan, that sort of thing. But skateboarding is just like this enigma that you can't find statistics. And if you call up another skate shop, they're like, I don't know, dude. Like, or they're not going to give you any of the information because you're a threat, and or they just don't know you. So that was a real struggle. So it wasn't. Sorry about that. It wasn't until years later, like, I just kind of gave up on that idea because it just didn't seem to be going anywhere. I was living back in Buffalo. I was a cable installer at that point, and my wife wanted to work at her father's greenhouse that he had started, a hydroponic tomato greenhouse, So that's why we even moved back to Buffalo. And at that time, it was just not the best move for us because we were living in the Catskills where I was a cabinet maker. And we loved it. But for, we were just thinking, okay, her father's building this greenhouse. This looks like it has a lot of potential, which it did. And we just moved back to Buffalo, which I kind of wish we never did, because when we lived in the Catskills, it was gorgeous. So we had lived on this little house with 4 acres of land, and it was like sort of a dream, But after we moved back, 9/11 hit, and a little bit of everything changed.
What brought you back here?
The Navy. After 9/11, and my brother, who was 20 at the time, I was 30 at the time, was going to join the Marines. And my mom was like, why don't you join the military? And I would have never thought in a million years I would have joined the military. But I was like, why not? What the hell are they going to do to me? Let's see what this is about. And
was it a result of 9/11, or it was just
it was just a result of like Western New York.
Yeah.
I call it the blue collar state, because the rich stay rich, the poor stay poor sort of thing. But in Western New York, it's a lot of like blue collar jobs, and the pay is terrible. Like, you'll do probably the hardest jobs you've ever done for like minimum wage. And there's also this thing that a lot of companies use in New York, which is the what do they call it? A temp agency, and they use them everywhere. But it seems like all the businesses in New York funnel work through them because they have to pay less taxes, and they don't have to pay insurance and all this stuff. So they just kind of abuse it, I think. And so you're kind of stuck in that system, which my brother, who went back to New York, kind of found out. And so I just said, screw it, let's see what the military's got. And joined the military in 2004. And I decided to become a hospital corpsman, because I was like, well, I don't want to shoot nobody or kill nobody. I might as well help somebody.
I don't blame you.
And did that. And after about 5 or 6 years of that, I was just kind of over that too. I didn't want to continue. It wasn't the life for me. And when I got out, I decided, I'm going to try and do the skate shop again. And I made a business plan. I finally am able to find these statistics. I'm smarter. There's people I know now I can talk to. So I created a business plan and took that to the banks, and realized at that point that, every bank was like, wow, this is a really good business plan. Like, nobody's brought anything to us this well put together. What do you have as collateral?
Now, did you know how to do a business plan like on your own, or is that something you learned through any of your jobs?
No. Like, you look at formats, you ask questions. There's a small business development center who sort of helped out, but it didn't really seem to help me out for my situation. So basically I put this thing together, made it look as best as I could, put all my information that I understood, tried to show them my vision, brought it to them. Like I said, they're like, wow, this is incredible. And then the real question was like, what do you have as collateral? Do you own a house? Do you own property? And I realized that it was at that point when they're telling me, wow, this is fantastic, but you don't have anything to take in case you fail. So that's when I was like, oh, if you need the money, you won't get it unless you have it. Mm-hmm. And so I was really like dumbfounded by that. I'm like, wow, the banks bank on failure. They're not counting on your vision, even though they just told you this is amazing. They're not trusting in that system. Like, their sure thing is that most people fail, apparently. So that's what makes it hard to do things, I guess, for people. That's why a lot of people, don't start businesses. They can't get the backing. It's not a restaurant where if you fail, they can come sell your equipment. It's a skate shop. They don't know what to do with that stuff. So what I did was I just went back to doing odd jobs. I was painting houses and stuff like that. And
now this is down here, or this is?
Yeah, this is down here. Okay. So after I got out of the military, trying to open a skate shop, spent a lot of time and all the money I had saved up trying to make that happen. And that just didn't happen. So then I started painting houses and trying to find another job, missing my military pay, which was good, my health benefits. I have a kid now, Mm-hmm. How old am I at that point? 36 or something? 37. I don't even remember. And I'm looking through the paper one day and I see skate shop for sale. And I'd heard Cardinal was closing. And Cardinal, if you don't know, was opened by Kyle Berard and his dad. So I assumed it was Cardinal. And so I went and checked it out. I called the number, and the broker, I guess, called me back right away. And it's like, hey, he's willing to come down on that price that he already had listed. And so, I was curious. I was like, well, maybe this is, even though I had tried to do it after I got out of the Navy, and it just kind of wasn't happening again. All the places I was looking at just wasn't working. So then for whatever reason, this popped back up, and I was all right, one more try. So we made a deal, and I borrowed money from my mom and dad and my aunt and uncles. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't a lot, but
Yeah.
I needed that to do it. And my brother, and made that happen. And I've been doing it since 2009.
That's awesome. And to be honest, I don't remember meeting you at Cardinal, but I think like part of the thing that makes Cardinal so great is you make it a community. Like, so you don't have to know somebody deeply to connect with them. Like, you make it so easy for anybody to come in and feel welcome.
I try. I think the thing that I've experienced or seen happen to other kids is they're made to feel goofy, or you walk into a shop and the guy's just too cool to like really give you an answer or the time of day, which I always thought was unnecessary and rude.
Yeah.
You even hear that about us, like, oh, they're cool, or I really don't think so. I do my best to say hello to everybody that walks through the door.
You do. I've seen it.
I reach out sometimes, but I'm also a shopper myself, which I don't like being hounded when I'm shopping. So
Yeah.
I'm like, you walk into those stores with my kid and they're like, oh, nice pants. And they're eyeing you up and they're like getting in your space. I'm like, just say hello. Like, I don't say that to them, but I'm thinking like, that's not how I want to be treated. So I don't treat people that way. So,
Yeah.
and there are times when we're busy and I just, maybe somebody's not gotten the amount of attention they want right away, but I definitely try. And I think in general, skateboarding leans towards that anyways. You skateboarded. You do skateboard. So you know what it's like. You go to a spot, you don't know anybody, but you're all skateboarding. So there's already that sense of like openness with it.
Yeah.
It just, that's what it is. I think that's what's so great about it. I was never one to play football, or I tried baseball and soccer and things like that, but I just didn't enjoy them as much. And I don't know if it's because I don't really understand what's going on here. Is it guys kicking the ball? All of a sudden I got the ball, like, well,
Yeah.
Oh crap, everybody's looking at me. I gotta do something with the ball. I don't know if that's why I was never really into it, or if I just liked the singularity of like me and the board, because it's really not a team sport. You could have a team, but the team isn't really based on, oh, Steven didn't land a trick, we're all losing. It's more like it's just a group of guys that hang out together and represent something. That's what the team in skateboarding is.
Yeah. And I think, kind of to that point is skateboarding is probably 99% failure.
Yeah.
So I think that, and you would probably agree that is, I assume, helped you in business, because it's not easy.
Absolutely. I don't think people are used to people like us, honestly. I tell skateboarders, or at least I tell some of them, I'm like, you're like actually superheroes in your own right. Like, I'm 47, and if I use the amount of falling we do, like if my dad was my age now and in the condition he was in at his age at 47, if my dad and I were standing next to each other at 47,
Yeah.
it'd be a totally different thing. Like, and he was a strong man, but like if he took the slams and the beating I took, he would not be walking or working. Like, and I think that skateboarding creates this mentality, like it's okay to fail. It's, it's, so what, I failed, so what? It doesn't mean I'm done.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I'm walking away. I may not do it today. I might have to come back tomorrow or in a week or so when I'm like rested. But I think that also created a mentality for me. Like, a lot of times I think people thought I was done when the shop was struggling, or like when we did that move from Virginia Beach to Norfolk. Half of the time I wonder, like, what the hell was I thinking? Like, I could have stayed in that little spot and probably done good, but it wouldn't have been what it is now.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about that move, because I know that was probably among the toughest times for
Absolutely
you as a business owner. So what was that like, and what really prompted the decision?
Well, we were over in that plaza, which and I don't know what it is. It's like this whole, me being from the Buffalo area, New York, and I'm older. Plazas are strange to me. They're ugly. There's just something unpleasant about them. And I never imagined owning a skate shop instead of a bunch of other shops, like a mall or something. It just doesn't appeal to me. But I kind of inherited the location and everything when I took over the space. And it was doing fine. I loved that parking lot. I kind of missed that parking lot we'd always skate in. But I always wanted to do something bigger and cooler with it. And the plaza that we were in, it just seems to me like a lot of the business plazas around here kind of are really run down, and the land the property managers weren't really doing anything to upkeep the place or bring in new quality tenants. And it seemed to me like everybody who did have a decent business there was moving to other plazas. And I really didn't want to do a sideways move. I didn't want to do a lateral move from one plaza to the next. I was like, if I'm going to move the business and do something, I have to do something drastic.
Yeah.
So I have to do an upward move, which means open a bigger space, do something bigger, greater, create more of a community location. So I hunted around. I even tried to find places in Virginia Beach. It just wasn't available.
How long were you looking before you found the spot?
I'd always been looking, I think. And then when the time came, it was like probably a good 6 months. And there were several locations I wanted. Some of the things I wanted in Virginia Beach weren't going to work because of like lack of parking. I found this like 12,000 square foot building. I was like, I'm going to open the shop in an indoor park, but there wasn't enough parking. So when you open a facility like that, you have to have X amount of parking spaces per square footage, yada, yada, yada. So, so there's always something kind of like causing me not to do it here or there. And so I figured, well, let's look in Norfolk. They got bigger buildings, bigger spaces. And we just kept looking around. So I ended up on the space I'm at right now, you know?
Yeah, it's a good spot. So let's talk about the, I know it was a tough move. And when you were set to move into the location, there were unforeseen issues.
Oh yeah. So we signed a lease in 2016, June, I believe. We were supposed to be in there within 2 months. And me trying to, start off on the right foot with a new landlord, I wasn't putting any pressure on them to get it moving. I was just trying to be chill. But I had closed down movement on all my other accounts. I said, hey, I can't take any orders until 4 months from now, assuming that it would take longer than 2 months. So, because I understand construction and things like this, and there's always some sort of hiccups. So I told all my accounts it's going to be like 4 months before I can actually take everything, possibly 3, hopefully sooner. 3 months goes by, and I'm like knocking on their door like, hey, you guys haven't even touched this place. What's going on? And they're telling me, oh, we don't have permits yet, blah, blah, yada, yada, yada. And I'm thinking, but you guys are already working on the space. You already had permits to at least gut the place.
Yeah.
And get it prepped for work. And they hadn't touched it.
Now, was that
something else? Whatever they had in there previously fell through. And so they already had plans and things like that ready to go. They could have done a whole lot, but they didn't do anything. So really, they're just wasting time. And now that time comes, I'm knocking on the door. I'm like, hey, I'm supposed to be open in a month at least. I was already supposed to be open, actually. I was just trying to be cool here. And they're like, oh, there's nothing we could do. And I was about in tears. And they own the gun shop, which is across the street from my shop. And like, well, we got this space on the 3rd floor next to the shooting range. And I was literally sick to my stomach thinking, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I can't move my shop and then move into your gun range and then move into the big shop. And I'm like, how long is this going to be? And they're like, well, we'll probably get you in there by February. We're going to get you in there by February.
What year is this?
This would have been 2017.
Okay.
February 2017. And I'm thinking, oh my God, this is the worst shit. But if I don't get my business rolling, I'm out of money. Not only that, I'm going to lose my customers and my accounts are going to drop me. This is not good. So I had to say yes. I was literally like between a rock and a hard place. If I don't take this weird ass space inside of a gun shop next to a shooting range, at least for a couple months, I'm going to lose it all. And so I said, okay. And you got to understand, during this time that I'm waiting to open the shop, I have 3 storage units, and my house that I rent is packed with like countertops, shoe boxes, like just everything you could think of that's in the shop packed into my house. Literally, like out of the dining room into the living room, like there was no room to move.
Are you paying for these storage units, or
I'm paying for storage units, and my house is full of part of the stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And on top of that, I'm also getting new things and prep for the new space, because the new space is totally different.
Yeah.
But I don't know I can't really get rid of anything that's older because I don't know what's happening yet, And so my world is just crazy. Well, this goes beyond February into almost 2 years later. Like every month, oh, we're not done. They hire bad like construction crew, electricians, all this stuff. It just kept dragging on and on and on. And it was by the next year, everybody said, you're nuts. You should just drop it and do something else or move Cardinal somewhere else. I'm like, I'm basically invested into this. You know, I've already paid an architect to design the layout for me, like in the way I wanted it, to like make it official so it could get approved by the city, things like that. You know, I'm invested. All my money that I put aside is towards this, you know, and I took out a loan too. So now I'm paying on this loan. And so, yeah, I took the first loan I've ever been able to get a hold of. And now it's just sitting in the bank, eating itself up. Because every month I got to pay on that loan.
Yeah.
So the money I had wasn't even used to make money. It just paid itself off. It was crazy. It was like, I'm like, what is going on? I think that's when people didn't realize what skateboarders are. We're just not quitters.
Yeah.
You know? So, and I think that the people who own the gun shop, I think they thought that, I don't know what they thought, but I wasn't going to let them bail out on me. I just didn't quit. I'm like, I'm doing this. If all else fails, I'm going to build this space out, at least get to see what it looks like, and then crash. Yeah. You know what I mean? If that's what it takes, but I'm not letting you.
You're thriving.
Right now I am. I think every skate shop in America is thriving right now.
Yeah.
It's COVID, you know.
Yeah. Okay, so you also talked about the accounts. So owning a business, and obviously yours is, I guess, would be considered retail.
Retail, yeah.
So you have accounts with various
shoe accounts, board accounts, mainly the shoe accounts. You know, those are the ones that people judge your business on, I think, like, you know, like brands like Nike and Adidas and Converse and all these things.
So when you're going through the, you know, telling them you have 4 months, maybe 3, and then it keeps going on and on, is it possible that you would burn any bridges, or are they open?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you did a pre-book with these people. So you did this order last year, but, you know, it's supposed to show up in October, but you're not open. So now they got to eat those shoes. You know what I mean? So that doesn't make them want to work with you any longer. Get what I'm saying? So I made an order, but now I can't take it because I'm not in my space.
So they've made all these shoes that are now.
Basically, they make all the shops. Okay, what do you want to order? Then they go and have all those shoes made,
right? Without
very much overages, and this way, you know, there's no waste.
Right.
So, you know, if I'm closed and I can't accept my order, that's a wasted shoes. That's a waste of shoes. You know, generally somebody's going to take that order because they might be short on shoes or something like that. But in the grand scheme of things, they don't look at an account like that as a good business partner. So
were there any bridges burned, or were you? I mean, you're a pretty easy guy to get along with, so I assume the reps probably.
Well, I mean, no, there was bridges burnt. Like,
really?
Yeah, I lost the Converse account through all that. I think you know, that was really the one that hit first. Almost lost all of them though. All
right, so let's talk about how the pandemic has affected sales and how you've had to adapt.
Well, part of doing the new shop is like we've always wanted to have. Not always. Let me back up. So, being in the other location over on Holland Road, one of the things I like to do is I look at skateboarding and I look at brands and I look at small companies and I look at all that stuff. It's what I'm into. It's sort of nerdy, you know. And I would kind of discover like little companies that I thought were cool that nobody was noticing or had noticed yet, and I would probably say, hey, let's bring you into the shop. I want to sell your boards. Like, I think what you're doing is pretty cool. Or a clothing brand of that, like on the same vein, you know, something that is all skateboarding related. Like it might be some skateboarders that start a clothing brand or something like that. But at any rate, you know, you try to bring things in to your business that are unique and individual to set yourself aside from all the other people selling skateboards, so that, you know, you stick out. Like, people see Cardinal as, oh, this is where I'm going to find what's new, you know. not just have more Volcom and more all the other stuff that all the surf shops and all the other like skate shops have, you know? Because why? Why be cookie cutter? Why have the same thing in every store? It's boring. So if I have the same thing at every surf shop, another like skate shop has that, what's the sense in coming to Cardinal, you know? So that's what I do. I literally hunt and try to find what's new or what I think is cool to sell to the folks that come through our doors. And what was the question again?
About the pandemic.
Yeah, boy, I went way off on that one, huh? I was going back to the old shop. Okay, now I remember. So what would happen is that somebody would come into the shop at the old shop, be like, oh my God, you have this? They had this at the shop in New York and it sold out in 2 days. Well, I've been sitting on it for like 2 months at this point. Nobody locally is kind of like catching it yet because they're like, what is this? I don't know what this is. But I would constantly have that interaction with somebody who came in and visited from out of town because they'd heard about the shop or something like that, and always just like flipping out that I still had certain brands available or, you know, this item that they had been missed out on. And they would just like be stoked. And I'm like, Jesus, man, all these people from all over like know what the hell I have in the shop, but some of the people locally don't.
Yeah.
Because they're just so used to seeing all the stuff at all the surf shops and whatnot. And so I was like, man, if I got to get a website. But I was always against it because to me, like the internet, the social media, it's really the death of community. There's no stopping it, but it really is like where I think the human race is going to go die. You know, just get off your phones and go out to your local store and interact with human beings. But now with COVID, we really can't do that. So when we opened the new shop, I had planned on, I'm going to get a website up. I mean, that's almost like 8 years later at that point. You know, I'm like, God, I don't have a website yet. I really don't like I said, I don't really like them. You know, I don't want to shop online. I like to shop locally if I can, you know. And here's a little statistic for anybody. I heard this once. I don't know how true it is, but it made a lot of sense. So if you spend your dollar bill on the internet at Amazon, your dollar bill goes out of your community. Maybe I'm doing this backwards. If you spend your dollar bill locally, your dollar bill, say you buy some eggs from the farmer, your dollar bill goes around your community 4 times. If you buy something locally made from out of the country, like something like maybe you buy something that's made in China at your I don't know, at the Lowe's, your dollar bill goes around your community 2 times. But if you buy something online, your dollar bill exits your community immediately. So every time you buy something online, your community suffers locally. But now everybody in your community is selling online, so it's really just a give and a take. So at any rate, backing up to me having product that nobody understands. So now I have built this I'm working on this website. I've been working on a website for way longer than the last 2 years. Had a website forever, just never had it running. So finally last year, right before COVID hit, I finally had enough money to buy a new POS system that interacted with the website. That's a whole nother nightmare. I was trying to get a POS system, which is a point of sale, you register, that interacts with a website so that when somebody buys something online, somebody in the store isn't buying the same thing at the same time. Well, of course, if you buy a POS system, a computer system, we only work with our online system. So it's really a nightmare trying to get a decent online store that works with a decent system and not being like pushed and pulled to just like buy one thing. It's sort of like Apple products, all just one linear. You know, it's the same concept. It's crazy to me. But we finally got a POS system, and when COVID hit, now is the time. It's like we're already working on this. Now we have to really focus, because basically we had to look at the shop as a warehouse because we didn't know how long before people were going to be able to come in.
Yeah. So
that's what we've done. We've transitioned to that part, which has made running the shop a whole lot more of a nightmare. And we're still open. But now when I buy, let's say I buy 12 anti-hero boards, which is a company, if anybody doesn't know that, I no longer just put 12 anti-hero boards into the computer and throw them on the wall. Now I have 12 different anti-hero boards, all different sizes, possibly different colors or stains. and person's names and the name of the graphic, because they switch the graphic up every damn month. And now I have to take photos of each one for the website, and then I got to take photos for Instagram. So it's no longer just, cool, we got 12 anti-hero boards in, they're on the wall, come and get them. It's a whole nother process.
Yeah.
And on top of that, learning to keep your inventory correct. So like, say somebody's ringing something out, we're so used to doing it the old way that we might type it in. They might type in the wrong board. So now our inventory's off, and then the online store is off. It's a nightmare.
Jeez.
Yeah. So that's what we've been doing. We were doing that all day yesterday, is like close the shop for inventory, which every shop has to do probably at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Just to make accurate inventory for taxes and stuff.
Did you have any of those times where somebody had purchased something online and you ran into that?
Yeah, it's been little stuff though. Like,
Yeah.
you just cancel the online order because it's like we don't have the product.
Yeah.
You know, it stinks.
Wow. So, okay, so you're selling stuff online. Do you find yourself, like, how broad is your reach now?
Pretty broad. I mean, we've sent stuff to France. I've sent stuff.
Is that people that you know from here that
No.
have gone to France?
Nope, I've sent stuff to Canada. We're also on a third party site now that just focuses on skateboard shops and what they sell. So like they see you through that as well. So
Okay.
I've sent stuff to people direct, who know the shop, to like Guam, and I sent stuff to Scotland before, and it's kind of neat. Like
That's pretty
Hawaii,
crazy.
like things like that. That's still U.S., but Alaska. Yeah, pretty cool.
Now, as far as like revenue, I mean, what do you have a percentage of your growth during the pandemic of selling?
Not yet. I mean, this is like we're at the beginning of the 2021. It's only like 5 days in, so I don't really have that number yet. But we were already growing. So it's really hard, which really kind of sucks that this all happened, but I'm also grateful for, is at the beginning of last year, we'd already kind of broken that glass ceiling where the shop was finally doing good on its own, on my own, on everything that I've done. So we were finally growing. We were finally like seeing improved sales, everything. So it was something I could visually see from the results of my actions.
Mm-hmm.
But then COVID hit and everything just changed. So I really don't know what I did or what I didn't do at this point, because I know for a fact that probably every skate shop, if they didn't close, they're killing it. So it's one of two things happened. If you're able to stay open, you stayed open and you won. But so I don't really have any way to gauge the growth that we were already doing on our own compared to what happened after that.
Right.
So it kind of sucks. It's because I was really finally looking forward to seeing like my hard work pay off. But I don't know if it's because of COVID or if just because, I was, what I had done helped me get past the bump with COVID or what,
Yeah. So you talked about having to do all these extra things, take photos of every board and all that. Mm-hmm. Do you have people, is it just you, or, you have employees, or is your wife helping you with this?
No. Well, I have employees, but feels like I'm doing everything. I've got a guy working with me now who's fantastic. His name's Josh. He's basically like my right hand dude, manager type. But I'm still taking all the photos. For the first time, I'm kind of like, here, you put this in the computer. Like, so he kind of was taking over, put a lot of the stuff in the computer. Me and him both put everything in the computer, as far as like into the POS system, like orders that come in. I'm still taking all the photos, which hurts my back. What else? I'm running the Instagram, which I want other people to do these things,
Yeah.
Which is also making me really just not want to be there at all. I just want to go out and skate. I really want to break. Like for the first time since New Year's, like we closed up early New Year's Eve and I didn't come back till Monday. So I like Saturday came around. I'm like, there's nothing I can do. Like you guys are all there. I'm good. Like, so.
Yeah. So I guess you find yourself working 24/7, 365.
In my mind. Yeah. It sucks. I had like dreams last night that I was working in some other store trying to check this dude out and the barcode scanner wasn't working. And I didn't know why, because it was scanning it, but it just wasn't bringing it up in the system. So I got to find somebody to help. And I felt bad for the dude. He was really cool, but he was waiting over 20 minutes for me to just ring him up. And I was like, that's really weird. Because like we were having issues like in the last 2 weeks with like our POS system, we'd scan something and it would just, nothing would happen. But then we go in the search button and there it is. It was really weird. So it was just like little issues like that, just kind of like filtering in at your mind at home. So
as you grow, what kind of tasks would you like to outsource is the wrong word, but because it's obviously
to
community.
delegate, like,
yeah, to delegate.
I'd like someone to run over the Instagram so I don't have to do it anymore. Take the photos.
Yeah.
Really, I just want to do some orders, and it'd be nice to like just sit back for once, you know, like I know that sounds awful, but
Yeah.
I literally just want to go skate.
Yeah.
You know, and like it'd be cool if the shop ran itself where I could like, yeah, I'm gonna go skate today. What do you need? Yeah, that's cool. I'll take care of that. Like I come in and maybe do a few orders, talk to a few of the reps and make sure everybody's okay. I could go skate. It sounds like a dream job, which isn't fair because
Yeah.
nobody should be getting dream jobs like that. But that's the dream, isn't it? Like,
Yeah. How many shops do you know of that the owners are able to do that? I mean, is with a skate shop, is it?
I don't.
You don't know. So everybody's
No.
pretty involved.
Like, yeah,
hands-on.
I'm on a chat with like a lot of shops. I mean, I'm sure some of them probably, I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I'm assuming those big ones out west, like those crazy mail order ones, like
Yeah.
the guy probably doesn't even skate. He probably just runs a skate shop, you know?
Yeah.
Those are the shops like your surf shops. Those guys don't skate. They just run a surf shop, make millions of bucks, and all these people working for them. I don't think a real skate shop gets that, you know?
So talk about that, because obviously we are we're a coastal town, and predominantly, like you were saying, that the surf shops, I mean, they are surf shops that sell skateboards, but you are a skate shop in in your own lane, like you are a skate shop.
I think that's the way it should be, but you know, I know that I'm just probably just a fool for doing that, but I think that's what sets us aside, honestly. I think if I'm going to go to a surf shop and get a surfboard, if I want a surfboard, I'm going to go to a surf shop. You know, if I want a bike, I'm going to go to a bike shop. If I want a skateboard, I'm going to go to a skate shop. If I want a skateboard, I'm not going to go to a bike shop. I'm not going to go to a surf shop. You know, but the thing is like growing up here, a lot of, you know, not me growing up here, but I grew up near here in Lynchburg a little bit and came out here. I understand that this place grew with that. You know, back in the 80s, the only place to get a skateboard back in the 80s out in the middle of nowhere was at a bike shop. Back in the 80s, the only place to get a skateboard out at the beach here was at a surf shop. So that's just how it is. But when it did transition over to in like the late 80s to 90s, when skate shops started forming, that's really where I wanted to go, you know, because the guys who owned the bike shop were just old dudes, you know, they didn't give a shit about skateboarding. But the guys who opened the skate shops, they gave a shit, you know, and that was so much more important to me as a skateboarder, as a kid, you know. This guy working the counter got it. I want him to have my money, you know, because he's going to clue me in. He's going to get the stuff that I'm looking for. The guy at the bike shop's just like, oh, yeah, we're selling these vision boards. They're doing great. You know, he doesn't know about blind or anything like this coming up. You know, he doesn't care because he's just looking at the dollars. And that is what sucks.
Yeah.
That's what sucks about monopolies, you know, or conglomerates. I'm sorry. They just want money. That's why I think staying in your own lane, there's a lot of truth to it, and there's a lot of value in it, you know. Practice what you preach.
Yeah. Back to the delegation of tasks. I know that you have a very specific vision for.
That's why it's hard for me to delegate tasks.
So how important is it when owning a business to have a vision, and how do you know what hills to die on, and where to kind of make compromises?
I am the worst at that. I just like it's so much easier for me to do than to show, because I'm just quick at it. You know, like
I know when we were putting the shelving up in there, me, you, and Blake. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's so much easier. It's so much like I see it in my mind. You know, I'm like I already know what I'm supposed to do, and I just get going. Like I built that ramp in the back by myself. Like I had a few friends help me bend some wood. I think I let somebody one dude put in 2 or 3 screws. The other dude put like 1 or 2 screws. I was like, oh, I'm good. I got it. Like you're doing it wrong. I'm neurotic like that. Like it's just, I think most people are just maybe some people are just more easy going with it. But I think from all the jobs that I had, like being a cabinet maker, I'm a perfectionist when it comes to these things. And because I know how to use the tool, or I already have the vision in my mind, what needs to be done, it's just literally easier for me to just do it than try to explain it to you. And if I have explained it to you, like how to do something, you're still asking me how to do it, it's easier for me to just do it myself.
Yeah. Yeah. So what kind of things do you pull from all of the other jobs that you've had?
Just abilities. You know what I mean? Quick problem solving type of things. Those sorts of things, you know.
So obviously, if you're in your mind about Cardinal 24/7, 365. So what kind of toll does that take on your personal life? Or is there any like separation, or is it all blended? I mean, I don't know how old your daughter is, but how like is she involved at all? Or
no, I think because she kind of grew up in the shop, she doesn't really want anything to do with it. Like she's like, whatever, I don't need to go there, Dad. You know? But she basically grew up at the old shop. But and it was quick for my wife to drop her off there when my wife went to work. But she's older now, and we can leave her at home alone for like 2 or 3 hours. So I've tried to bring her in a few times to help out, but she really doesn't want to help out. She doesn't want to do the work, you know what I mean? So, but she wanted to make some money, and I was like, okay, we'll do this, and this, and then she's my daughter, so she just, all right, I'm done. Like, you know, it's like, it's not the same, so it's probably best if she gets a job somewhere else.
Yeah.
So she sees what it's like to work for somebody that doesn't love her. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Is it safe to assume that they have been pretty supportive? Because
you'd have to think so, considering all the crap we went through.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a house full of obstacles, like no money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Incredibly supportive. My whole family, basically.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's interesting that we're doing so well now. And back when I was younger, my parents weren't really helpful with it. They're like, I think they just thought it wouldn't work or something. And I thought about it the other day. I'm like, I wonder what my mom thinks. If she would have tried to help me make this happen when I first had the idea.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder what she would think. You know what I mean? So
now, did your parents have any business, or anybody in your family have experience starting a business?
No.
So you just went in and you just figured it out on your own?
Yeah, basically. I mean, just like skateboarding. You know, all you're going to do is fail. Like, that's not going to kill you.
Yeah.
You know, so what? You fail at something. It's not like, all right, you're done. Boom, they shoot you in the head because you didn't do a good job.
Oh, jeez.
It's like people are afraid when, like in the military, when you join the military, you got all these recruits and they're all like stand there and they're all scared. I'm like, I joined when I was 30, so I might have been one of the older dudes, but I had a lot of life experience underneath my belt. But I'm looking at all these younger dudes and they're all like terrified. I'm like, what are you worried about? They can't kill us. They're not going to kill you. They're going to make you work out and get up early. You know what I mean? What's the worst they could do to you? Like
Right.
Take you behind a closet and beat you with a bat? Like, it's not going to happen. You know? So I always thought it was strange, people's reactions to things like that.
Let's get into like the nitty gritty of owning a business, and not necessarily a skate shop, but
Just
business in general. So, I mean, you've got insurance, you've got licenses, you've got overhead, you've got bills. I mean, so on a typical week, what kinds of things are you doing?
Just making sure the bills are paid. All that stuff kind of happens in the beginning. You set up all your bills. You set up all your, what the things you need to run up, your cable, your electric company, your gas company, your internet, your security, all that stuff. You kind of set all that up at the beginning. So really it's just a matter of making sales at that point in order to pay those bills every month, So taxes suck. they take so much, and you make so little. I gotta pay that every year or every month on the 20th. But that's really, I mean, it's really kind of like once you get the ball rolling, once you've already set those things up, and those are the easiest things to set up, like all that stuff. Insurance, I don't even think about anymore. It's like I got that set up 3 years ago with a new company, and they just automatically deduct it.
Yeah.
What stinks though is if you're slow and you don't have that money, then you're looking at that stuff every day, and that's what it was like for a long time. And that's what was nice about the beginning of last year, because I was like, finally, like I literally thought 2019 October we were going to close. I was like, I cannot make it. I've ran its course. And then just something happened. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
But it finally started to take care of itself. And we started to gain. But up until that point, I was looking at everything every day. There was nothing you could do about it.
Yeah.
I was literally living day to day for the 8 years prior. But that whole move and everything was just about to kill me. And then it switched.
Like, what are your margins like? Like, do you have money saved to cover?
I'm trying to put now we have some money for the first time in the bank account where it was literally like this. I would have $1,000 in there, maybe, and I would spend up to like $200. I would have $200 left in hopes that every weekend or every week tomorrow might make $200, like that's what it was like. But now we have money in there where I can safely and comfortably. Well, what happened? I'd have those $200 in there, and I'd be like, "Yo, I can't. Don't send that order yet. Don't run my credit card yet. Wait till Monday, after the weekend, and then run my credit card."
And that's with
that was before
your accounts, or
yeah.
Okay.
So say I had a board order that I pre-booked, and they'd be like, "Hey," and they still call me to this day. "Is it okay to run this?" I was like, "Yeah, you're good." But they were calling me because I set it up. I'm like, "Listen, man, you can't just run my card. Not only are you gonna overdraft my account, it's gonna add on fees, and that's gonna put me even deeper." So that's what it was like, and it sucked. Because all I was trying to do is make a skate shop. I didn't have any backers. I didn't have anything. So that's why I have a real problem with people not knowing where their money's going. Yeah, you're gonna go you're gonna buy your skateboard from said business, but that guy doesn't love what you're doing like I do.
Yeah.
He doesn't love it like you do. I love it like you do, and I love seeing you do it. And I know your friggin' name.
Yeah.
Get over here. Put your money here, bud, because it will come back to you. I'll go build some DIY spots with my friends. I'll put money back into the community. When you need a board and we got some extra in the back, I got you. You come here and you'll get discounts if I see your face enough, because then I know you support us, then I'm going to support you the best I can. I can't give you things, and maybe someday you'll ride for the shop. Who knows, So that's why when I see people just oh, I only shop at, I get all my skateboards from here, or I buy them online. I'm like, you're insane. You have no clue.
Yeah.
You have no clue what you're doing to your own community. I'm part of your community, And
I think we're all guilty of it. I mean,
yeah. I mean, I bought stuff on Amazon, but only because I can't find it locally.
Right.
And I look, you know what I mean?
So what is the future for Cardinal Hold? I know that you have a half, you have a mini ramp back there. I know you want a bowl.
Yeah, I would love an indoor park, but that space in the shop is not conducive to that. So I'd like a plaza, but that's just not going to happen. So the space is conducive to a bowl. And, I was told it would cost between $35 and $40 to build it by Kyle Berard, because he does that now. He has his own company. And
would he come back and...
He would come back and do it. But with the price of wood right now during COVID, 2x4s went from $280 something up to $8.
Mm.
I think they're down to 5 something now, but the price of wood right now is insane.
Yeah.
The cost of hard goods and skate shops have gone up too. What sucks is that we're selling them for more, but the skate shops should have charged more for them earlier on, because now I'm in a group chat.
Skateboards have been $60 for
$55 to $60 for years and years
forever.
And years, but they were like that back in the 90s too. So now I'm on this group chat and like everybody's like, whoa, what's your minimum prices on boards right now? And they're all like, oh, mine's 60, 65. And I'm like, yeah, this is great that, you know, we're all charging this now, but the board shops, the wood shops are charging us more. So we're still in the same boat.
Right.
We're not making any more right now. You know what I mean? But we have to charge more because we're paying more for them now.
Do you see yourself doing any kind of stuff outside of the shop?
We're working on it. It's hard. It's hard because like everything's so different. Like I feel stretched, really thin. My mind is just like fuzzy all the time now with just so much going on. But I have Josh that I told you about helping out, and he's really kind of like, he's helped get me focused. I have Leif who, he rides for the team, but he's not really around. But boy, he's a motivator. He's a go getter. So with people like that, we're working on trying to get things going. But when you're just running the shop all the time, it's really hard to like pull away from that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hard for me.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I want help with, you know.
And that's where the delegation.
Yeah, the delegation, like, okay, like sometimes, hey, just because I own it doesn't mean I know how to do everything. Like I'm stuck in a rut too. Like I'm like, this is what I can do every day, you know, just keep people happy at the door. But my head is like stuck there. Like I want to do these other things, but I don't even have time to think about those other things. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
So that's what I want. I'd like, you know, work on that a little bit more and try to have other people running the shop so I can work on those things with Josh and like Leif and dudes like that.
What do you think your timeline is for being able to do that? I mean, do you think the growth with the pandemic and all will help you get to that sooner where
it's, you know, well, that's a weird question because we're not allowed to hang out together basically.
Yeah.
You know, like in England, I just saw this morning that like you have to be in groups of 2. They're literally shutting down. You can't do anything till the middle of February. So this way, they're trying to like keep down the sicknesses in order to disperse the vaccines to all the first responders and people over 70 first. And then hopefully it cuts back the virus enough where they can start giving it to younger folks at that point. I'm like, this is crazy. But why isn't America doing that? Yeah. People are like, oh, it won't work in America. I'm like, well, it would if they would do it. But people are so like selfish in a sense. Like, I need my freedom, and I'm just like, we are free. Just fucking chill out. Like, you don't got to go shopping. Literally, I when COVID hit, I shut the shop down. I was the first person I know, first business I saw close my business.
Okay, so what kind of effect did that have on you? I mean, were you strictly online, or?
No, I wasn't even online. So what we did is like, we're closing business for 2 weeks from here to this, and we'll let you know what happens after that. But I was the only one closed. Like all the other people selling skateboards were still open. And like the government didn't shut everything down. So I'm thinking, crap, I thought they were going to shut everything down. I was just trying to be responsible and ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
But they weren't shutting everything down. So by not doing that, we were all in the same boat. I still had to pay my rent. I still had to pay my bills. Because if the government shut everything down, everybody would be in the same boat. So, you know, people talk like, well, what about who's going to pay you this and this and this and that? I'm like, well, it'd have to be a forgiveness system. Like, if I can't pay my rent, it's because I'm not working because they shut the restaurant down. Well, they also shut your mortgages down and everything else. So I shouldn't have to pay my rent because you don't have to pay your mortgage on the building. You know what I mean? So, you know, so that's the sort of issue. Like everything stops. We go get our food and that's it. Yeah. We go home. You know what I mean? So I thought that's what was going to happen. It didn't happen. So I'm like, fuck, I got to open back. I got to pay my bills.
You had the experience with not being open all that time in the move. So do you think
I wasn't super scared.
Like, yeah.
I was like, you know.
You knew you'd been through it already.
Yeah. So, and I just figured like this is the responsible thing to do. But then when I saw that nothing was happening and then like everybody's just still out there skating and selling skateboards, I'm like, fuck, I got to open back up. I need the money too. If this is how it's going to be. I opened back up, and ever since then, like, we were dead for like, basically we were closed for 2 weeks and like dead for 2 weeks after that. And then after that, we just started killing it. And I think it was because people didn't have anything to do. They wanted to skate, you know? Yeah. And then what was really interesting is that hard goods and everything else became extremely scarce. There was a point where my wall that holds like over 100 and something boards flat out, I had 6 boards in the wall and no trucks or wheels or anything in my cabinets.
Wow.
Nothing. So, but we were still making bank. I'm like, what are they buying? The clothes?
Yeah.
They like, what are we selling? I didn't understand how we were still doing as well as we were doing with nothing to sell. It was crazy.
So, okay. So yeah. So with the price of wood going up and like you said, you had 6 out of 100 boards.
No, like I think it was 65. I think the board wall holds 160 something boards. We had 6 boards on the wall.
So that kind of makes it look like there's a ceiling now. I mean, is there a ceiling to the growth, or do you think once the pandemic's over and they can lower the price of
I don't think
making a
anything's
board?
going to get lowered. I think these prices have gone up and they're staying up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is there a shortage of boards?
There was a shortage of boards.
Or
you got to think, like, China shut down, so anything pressed in China isn't being pressed for
Right.
3 months, right? Then, because China was shut down for 3 months before we were. Then America shut down for 3 months. So now anything in China is being shut down, and then the shipping isn't being received in America, plus whatever we're receiving here isn't being worked on here. That's like a really 6 months. But everything that's sitting in warehouses that people can still sell is selling out.
Mm-hmm.
So now there's no baggage. There's no like extra boards lying around. So they've sold through everything, which is a good thing. But now there's 6 months of no progress, no production. So now they open back up and then they got mad orders and millions of boards to make. Just, you know what I mean? Like, people didn't understand that.
Is there anything else that you want to talk about?
No, just thanks for always being supportive. You especially. Like, I really appreciate it.
I mean, I feel like I have done my time and like I'm a poser now, but
No, you're not, man. You're just busy. That's what people don't get. Like, I fell off skateboarding because of life, you know? I think I was like 18, you know what I mean? When I stopped, I was finishing high school and I got jobs and, it snowed up in New York. So like 6 months out of the year, you're definitely not skateboarding. You know what I mean? So it's sort of like you get into like when we moved from Virginia back up to New York, it was a different way of life. It hardly snows here, but back up there, it's like, shit, I can't even like do anything. I'm snowed in,
Yeah.
And so I just kind of fell off skateboarding. But when I found it again, I realized like that's what I was missing, me, because like I said earlier, it's not a sport with a team. It's just an individual situation. And I really missed that. But now that I found it, I won't quit again. And I think everybody, through the growth process, if they're lucky, they get to stick with it. But a lot of us fall away from it, because of girls, because of jobs, because of other interests. We grow. We're not always the same person, So in order to figure out what you're capable of, you have to stop one thing and go push the other thing as far as it'll go. And then sometimes you come back, sometimes you don't, I've seen a lot of guys come back like, man, I haven't skated in 10 years. I'm like, oh, that ain't nothing. Like, you could do it. But like, I've seen guys come back and they're like my age now and they haven't skated for 10 years. And I'm like, oh shit, you better be careful. Like, just learn how to push again. Cause honestly, people forget. They like, oh yeah, I used to ride this, and this. And they don't really have the balance anymore. You got to relearn that,
Yeah. What is, with having the mini ramp back there,
Mm-hmm.
What did that do to your insurance? I mean, I know you...
Not much. I mean...
so the waiver... I mean, I know I signed a waiver, but...
Yeah.
So
like, insurance is really chill. Like, it's not as much as everybody thinks.
Yeah.
It's like $2,000 a year, which ain't shit. In skateboarding, like, the guy who's my insurance agent is a skateboarder. The guy who presses my stickers is a skateboarder. The guy who prints my shirts is a skateboarder, The guy who embroidered some of our hats is a skateboarder. Like, I try to use skateboarders for everything if I can.
Yeah.
That's another thing a lot of people don't know. Like, the guy who worked in the wood shop that helped me build some of the, put the finish on some of the wood in the shop and do the cuts and the stuff, he's a skateboarder. The guy who welded up the frames is a skateboarder. I try to use skateboarders for everything.
Yeah. And I know, like, for Blake, my brother, did one of the graphics.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, well, Blake's, like, family,
Yeah.
And definitely I always try to use skateboarders for graphics. Like, anything I do, I try to make sure it's a skateboarder first.
Yeah. I don't know if you watch or listen to the 9 Club, but that's what Jerron Wilson always says. He says skateboarders rule the world.
We do. Yeah. Like I said, we're superheroes, man.
All right. Well, I think that will wrap it up. So thank you so much for being here again. And I hopefully look forward to having you back again one day.
Yeah, maybe we'll have it a little more like organized, and like you'll know what to do more so, and I will too.
Yeah, no, I was thinking when I got home to do this, I was thinking my whole drive home from work, I don't remember anything that happened because I was so nervous about this.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, I've talked to you a million times. I can't believe you're nervous about
I know, but I've never done this before.
Really? Like, oh, we've done this before. You interviewed me for that other thing. Like,
yeah, but I'm usually on the other side of the camera or the microphone.
is that what it is, this little guy?
I think it's just the lights up there and this thing right here in my face,
Yeah.
the mic, and the
It's
headphones.
It's a little blinding. Like, but I saw the image. It looks cool.
Yeah.
So, definitely neat.
Is there anything you want to like promote or Instagram or whatever?
If you want to follow us on Instagram, it's Cardinal Skate Shop. Our website is cardinalskateshop.net. I don't know. Just be nice to each other. It's real simple, you know. Sarcasm doesn't kill you either. Learn something, you know.
Yeah. Any advice for anybody wanting to start a business in general? Not a skate shop, because obviously.
I say, get the fuck out of here. Business. Quite honestly, I don't have a clue what I'm doing. I really, really don't. The whole point is I wanted to do what I thought was right. So I figured if I'm not doing it, then somebody else might do it, and I'm pretty sure they're not going to give a damn about skateboarding. And I think that's really what it was for me. Like, stay in your lane, you know? You know, don't open a candle shop and try to throw some skateboards in the wall. Like, it just isn't your lane, you know? Like, if you want to, I don't know that I'm good. It's taken me 10 years to do something and get any sort of results from it. And now COVID jumped in, and I don't know what my results are. I don't know. I don't know how solid my growth was. You know what I mean? Because I have nothing to really judge it on.
Right.
Other than like perseverance. But I stayed in my lane. You know, I didn't try selling surfboards. I didn't try selling roller skates. And holy shit, if you roller skate, open a roller skating shop, because we get calls daily. I thought about going on the side, open a little shop, wearing a wig, some sunglasses, and selling roller skates just because the community needs it. So,
is it really that big of a thing?
Yeah, I've thought about it. Just because I'm like, I could change out the wheels in trucks, but I don't know how to roller skate very well. My daughter, you know, I can roller skate. I'm just not a roller skater, you know.
Yeah.
So, don't sell rollerblades, though. Please don't.